You good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me cut this short. We're coming off in 20 seconds.
Thank you.
Let's see, we got Mitch's little talk, and I'm going to let you listen.
Employees or affiliates.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Good to have you on this beautiful day of days. What's the national day for today? You got a choice, actually. One of which I'm thinking I might go get some food on. National Meatball Day, National Get Over It Day, National Crab Meat Day, and or National Barbie Day. We got Mr. Jesse Sanchez over there kicking it in the studio, making sure we sound good. Jesse, which are you going to listen to for today when it comes to your family?
I kind of want to go with Meatball Day. That sounds really good.
Right? Isn't that like one of those things where it's good to get like when I think of meatballs, I think of those that are Italian and when they get together and the food that they eat and to be able to like do it with family and getting together and it's kind of hard during coronavirus, right? Especially if they're not in your own household. So how do you do so? Do you go to a restaurant? Do you enjoy that? Do you stay home? Are you cooking more at home? And or do you make good meatballs? We want to know. Do you know anybody and or any place that you're like, oh my God, the meatballs are just so delicious there, Jesse?
Let's see. I only order meatball sandwiches from one place, and that's the one place down the street where I live called. I can plug in their place. I don't remember. It's like Big Guy's Pizza or something like that.
Okay, all right. I used to love. They have small little meatballs, but Quiznos. Remember Quiznos? Which I think there's still a couple. I don't know what happened in the franchise, but I used to love because they put it on this like rosemary garlic bread thing situation, and then they would toast it with the meatballs, and just so delicious. Anyway, there is a restaurant in New York. If you ever have a chance to go check it out, 54 different kinds of meatballs. They move from appetizer to side dish to the main dish easily. Meatballs can be made the night before, put in the crock pot, or days before, and kept in the freezer. Lots of different ways you can make meatballs. You could do spaghetti and meatballs, one of my favorite, very easy. And it's difficult when they're too big, unless you could cut them down, then they're good. Swedish meatballs, meatball pizza, turkey meatballs, lamb meatballs, porcupine meatballs, which is made with rice. That's what they're calling them. Not that you have a porcupine meat situation thing going on. At least I believe. I could be wrong. But so there you go. Lots of stories kicking it up in the news media. But one of which, Jesse, you've been working on. What's going on over there?
Yeah. If you had the opportunity to go into space, would you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think we should ask our social media audience that, right? Okay, so let's do a quick shout out to Shadow3413 says, good morning, Earthlings. It seems, and it would appear he's already in outer space. Let's see. So we got him. We got Stephanie Reed says, hello, happy editing. This glorious sunshine, busy day for today. Maria says, good morning, everyone. And says, good to see you both back on the air. By the way, we were on the air. We just didn't do the whole camera thing yesterday. So if you ever miss us, just download the app, KMET 1490 AM. We were streaming live there, which was a fun show. It was an interesting, odd show. I will say that somehow we started talking about cannibals. That's all I'm going to say. If you want to check out that and all of our great content, all you have to do is go to SoundCloud and of our edition, KMET 1490 AM, and you will completely get caught up on our show. But we did only the audio version. My computer had a situation, and it was a long story, and I don't want to get into it. Katya Wonderland says, hello, everyone. I hope you guys are well. We are well. Thank you so very much. And it's good to be missed, right? Especially if you thought we weren't on, but we're always on somehow, some way. Shadow says, had homemade meatballs last night. And Maria says, they still have Quiznos. I know, but they don't anywhere over here. I got to find one. Katya says, I'm still on vacation. Again, tuning in from, I believe, Switzerland. Probably on vacation mode all the time. And let's see. Maria says, I want to go to space for sure. Did you see the space hotel they are making? I did not. Let's talk about it. Jesse, what is the story you got over there?
Yeah, so Japanese billionaire, let's see, I don't want to butcher his name, so I will say it slowly. Uh, let's see, his name is Yusaku Miyazawa, and he purchased all of the seats on the for SpaceX to go around the moon. So originally he planned to bring in like artists and stuff like that, but he opened it up to the public. So if you feel like registering to try and win a chance to go into space, now's your chance. So I think it's really cool that he's opened it up to everybody. So I'm gonna apply. I think I no, I'm gonna apply later.
You should apply right now. I want you to apply and then put me down for something too. We could. I don't want to hold you back. So I mean, I know you want to apply separately, but it's going to be one of those things where I want to, and then I'm going to try to, and then I'm going to forget the moment, and then I think you just need to apply for all of us. You need to apply for yourself, then apply for all of us, right? We all need to do this. I don't know. So wait, what's the requirements though? Are there any requirements?
As far as I know, it doesn't say any requirements. It just says it's open to the public. You got 5 days to register. I'm looking at their website right now. The spacesuits are pretty cool. It just says join the crew. It doesn't say anything about like prerequisites or something, but it does not supposed to take off until 2023. So I guess you got about a year to get in shape before you sit on a giant rocket as they lift you into space.
Okay. First of all, this guy looks like fun. That's number one. He is Mr. Fun, you could tell. And I enjoyed that already. So, okay, that's number one. Because I wouldn't want to go into outer space with the wrong kind of people. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I've seen enough Alien Predator movies to know what happens in situations like that, right? Or what are the movies? You got to be careful who you go into outer space with, right?
Yeah, you don't want to have someone who's claustrophobic and stuff like that, because then they'll start freaking out and they'll be like, I need to open a window. No.
Yeah, I kind of feel like he needs some prerequisites, because what if it's like that murderer that wants to get away from, go to outer space, and then you come back with only one survivor? How did this survive? Or like, what's that show which is on Netflix? It's a remake, but it's of the family in outer space.
Lost
in space. Yeah, I don't want to be lost in space. So I do have moments of that. Here's the application details. He shared it on Twitter Wednesday. He appealed for people to apply from all kinds of backgrounds. I like that. He posted it to YouTube. His name, Yusaku Miyazawa, is looking for applicants from around the world, and it's for the SpaceX flight in 2023. He's promised to cover the cost for those selected in his mission titled Dear Moon. The billionaire and fashion retailer Zozo. No wonder I was listening. I was getting a lot of stories about Zozo. I was like, what is Zozo? He was the first private passenger to book a spot for an undisclosed amount. Approximately 12 people in total will fly around the moon and back on the week-long voyage. It's a week long. That sounds like fun.
Right? Who wouldn't want to go around the moon? I mean, I wouldn't, but maybe when it's more available. I don't want to be the first crew that goes up there.
Well, it's interesting. So I have a question on this, because I've met some artists. I love artists, I really do. But there's some artists that are a little out there. He says, I wanted to reach out to a wider, more diverse audience. If you see yourself as an artist, then you are an artist, because he had planned to invite 6 to 8 artists to join him, right? Known for his high spending on art and sports, Miyazawa is no stranger to publicity stunts and has a penchant for musing on ideas such as a world without money. You know what? I like this guy. The moonstruck billionaire had hoped to find a romantic partner for the lunar adventure. What? How could he not have one by now? He looks like fun. Before calling the search off after having developed mixed feelings, roughly 27,000 women had already signed up to participate in a matchmaking documentary on Japanese TV. Well, no wonder he wants to get away for a while. That's a lot of stress. Let's see. Miyazawa also promised to give away the equivalent of $9 million to his Twitter followers in what he called a social experiment to see if the extra cash would boost happiness in 2020. In his latest appeal, the entrepreneur sat behind a painting of crows and herons by Hasegawa Tohaku, one of Japan's most prominent artists, and spread his arms to mimic a bird spreading its wings. Oh, that's interesting. The specifics of the selection criteria remain unclear. The application link asks for basic details before disclosing the admission process. See, you need to start applying, Jesse. Let us know the ins and outs. In his video, the entrepreneur said applicants would be judged on the ability to push the envelope creatively and willing to help other crew members do the same. See, I was just wanting to go just to have some fun. I didn't know I had to like work for my mission. The mission would mark the first lunar journey by humans since 1972. He said, I'm a little scared when expressing full trust in Elon Musk's technology. He goes, but I'm curious. So, I think that's how people are. I'm not gonna lie. I think there was a person that I messaged recently who wants to jump out of a plane, right? And I'm like, don't do that, not yet. Like, just be careful out there. And then they're like, well, would you do it? I go, yeah, I actually would. It would be kind of fun. But then I think like halfway up there, you go, is this going to be my last moment of doing it? And then you have questions. I'm that person where you're like in the process of, what if we blow up on the way up, right? Like, if there's still situations, would I be willing to? Because a lot of astronauts go up knowing that that's a possibility. They know it's a possibility. They're very, very aware of it. I think astronauts give like 1,000% and more, and hope that they'll hit at least 500% of what they give, right? So I got questions. I think in theory I want to be selected, but then I think if the time came, I mean, it would be good for the morning show, right? I hope, maybe, I don't know. I'd be willing to do the morning show each and every day from there. Is that creative or not creative enough? I don't know.
I think that would be really creative.
Yeah.
Cool. To do a morning show from space.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Let's do it. Okay. So there you go. Katya Munderland says, yes, it's wonderful. Let's see. Srihari Kerala is tuning in from Nepal. Oh, good to have you back, Srihari. Let's see. Maria says, well-heeled space tourists will have a new orbital destination 4 years from now. If one company's plans comes to fruition, that startup called Orion Span aims to loft its Aurora station in late 2021 and begin accommodating guests in 2022. We are launching the first ever affordable luxury space hotel. That's according to Orion Span founder and CEO Frank Bunger, who unveiled the Aurora station idea at the Space 2.0 Summit in San Jose, California. I did not know that. That's very interesting. We should check out the details on that. All right, so this guy is having fun and obviously still hasn't found the one. Weird. Maybe he needs to maybe he's going for outer space aliens. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more right after these messages. Stay tuned.
The Attunement. Can you imagine exploring spiritual consciousness through an exotic action-adventure story? The Attunement is masterfully illuminated in this self-discovery novel by John Stevenson. Dive into the page-turning epic hero's journey, weaving together high action with spiritual revelation. Join the Attuament and his colorful cohorts as they travel through the majestic Hawaii, the hidden mysteries of Polynesia, and the intrigue, starting with the mysterious healing that breeds chaos in London. This journey guides us through the trials of living in the material world, arriving into enlightened consciousness, perhaps glimpse into the fabric of creation. How is the Attuament affected by the global healing ministry surrounding him? How does he navigate the complexities of love, forgiveness, life and death, wealth and power? Find out in John Stevenson's TheAttunement.com, Apple Books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
Heart to Heart Counseling and Psychotherapy Center offers virtual sessions via Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, and by phone, specializing in addictions and creating satisfying sexual relationships. Heart to Heart Counseling can help you enjoy freedom from a codependent life and create a better future for yourself and family. Heart to Heart Counseling can also help you achieve a romantic, intimate lifestyle and inner peace. To contact Dr. Robert and Dr. Mitra, go to their programmer page on the KMET AM website. Heart to Heart Counseling is here for you.
Are you a self-published author that maybe underestimated the challenges of marketing your own book? I'm Suzanne Lynn, and we help authors sell more books through video interviews and radio advertising. You see, a professional video interview is really an author's secret weapon for marketing because it makes an emotional connection with your reader that can be posted to social media, YouTube, your book's landing page and website, your Amazon author page, and even sent to media to request interviews. We guarantee that video interview will be viewed by a minimum of 3,000 people in your target audience. And let's face it, no one can sell your book better than you speaking about it yourself. Plus, we can run commercials on our nationwide network of radio stations that targets your specific reading audience. Find out more at givemybookwings.com. That's givemybookwings.com. Again, givemybookwings.com.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. And we're joining our live stream audience over there. One of which is in Canada, but mentioned something that I just had to check out. And she was talking about Orion Span, which is has a Aurora station. It's orionspan.com. I've got the information here. I actually pulled it up. Because I was like, well, what's she talking about? So looking at this on our social media live feed, you can actually see it right here. The Aurora station has modular, versatile, and cost-effective solutions. It's a single launch to orbit solution, offering unprecedented customization and affordability in development. Their segmented modular design can be sized for a variety of launch vehicles, including a SpaceX Falcon 9. It's good for governments. It's good for manufacturing and research. It's good for space tourism, which is kind of where people are going. And they have packages evidently on this. According to this, a new era of commercial space is here. Since before the Apollo missions, people have been anticipating the day when private citizens can purchase a ticket to space. How much is it to go to space anyway? How much were these tickets for? We need to find that out. Some might be satisfied with a few moments of zero gravity on a suborbital flight. The true space experience means going fully orbital, a sustained microgravity experience. I think that would be the fun part. I just have questions on this. I'm not sure that I'm ready for this because you know what I saw recently? The movie with Sandra Bullock called Gravity. Do you know the one? I'm sorry. I feel like I would be that guy. I'd be like, do you realize all the things that could go wrong here? I don't know. I'm just wondering. It says here, while gazing out of the observation windows at the Earth below will be an activity everyone will want to do. At least you could get over. You know what? We need to send flat Earth liner people, right? But then they probably be like, it's a virtual reality machine. It's not even real outer space, right? You wouldn't know. Remember that ride that they used to have at Disneyland where you kind of went, you sat around and you're like, we're leaving Disneyland. Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it was in the. It's where they had the Captain EO, and then they had like Star Wars. It was Space Mountain. It was the Mission to Mars program or something. Yeah, you sat around the thing, and then it kind of like I don't know if it rumbled. And then you're like, hey, we're leaving Disneyland and going into outer space. But there you go. So, look, however you feel about it, I think we're around the corner of that. Obviously, unlike a hotel stay, the guests will need to work as a team and take part in the operation of the station. Are we ready for that? From cargo, I can't trust people that I go on vacation with enough to be able, because they're like, I'm on vacation, I don't want to work. From cargo transfer activities to daily exercise and select operations tasks, there will be plenty to do. I'm not sure that's why you want to go on vacation. But there you go. I guess honorary space flight person. Again, I have questions though. It's an authentic astronaut experiment. Experience. So there you go. This says, are you ready to see the Earth from orbit? I am. I would do that. We have completed development and successfully placed Aurora Station into low Earth orbit. We invite you to sign up for a 12-day adventure that will change your life forever. Oh, who knew? Experience the thrill of zero gravity, gaze upon the Earth from 230 miles above, conduct experiments, and much more. Complete astronaut experience. What kind of experiment? I hope we don't do alien experiments. Seriously. But there's training, and it's a 24-month training program. They've streamlined it to 3 months. Early certification units are theory-oriented and completed on your own pace using the Orion Span astronaut certification app on your computer.
Ooh.
Well, you know what? They probably have like a VR machine, right? That you could like kind of do. I don't know. Mid-certification units are in-person exercises conducted at the training facility in Houston, Texas. Huh. In-person training begins no later than 3 months prior to launch to Aurora Station. Huh. Emphasis in these units is on successful understanding of spacecraft systems, contingency training, and weightlessness practice. The final certification modules are completed during our stay on Aurora Station. Did I get paid for this? All right. I don't know what's going on there. If you have a lot of time, I'd say good, do it. And if you know, that's the best entry into being an astronaut. I always wanted to be an astronaut as a child. I don't know what happened in between. I don't think I was smart enough. I'm not sure. You have to be really smart to be able to go into outer space, right? I don't know. All right. There you go. We're going to take a quick break here on the morning show. We'll be back right after these messages. Stay tuned.
My mom is a breast cancer survivor. The United Breast Cancer Foundation saved her life. Their free breast cancer exam caught the cancer early, and that saved her life. But now the foundation needs your help so they can continue offering free or low-cost breast screening exams, saving more women's lives. Help them by donating your car, whether it's running or not. They'll provide fast, free 24-hour pickup, and you receive a charitable tax deduction, plus the great feeling you'll get knowing your donated car is going to help save more lives. Just call 800-781-0965 to set the wheels in motion. They take cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs, running or not. Call 800-781-0965. The United Breast Cancer Foundation needs your help, and your donation could literally save women's lives, helping them catch breast cancer early, like they did with my mom. Donate today. 800-781-0965. That's 800-781-0965.
Hi, everyone. This is Bernadette, the host of One Life Radio, your number one source for alternative and holistic health since 2011. One Life Radio is designed to educate and inspire. Visit us at oneliferadio.com because you get one body, you get one mind, and you get one life. Get out there today and make the most of it. Tune in weekdays at 1 p.m. on 1490 KMET Smart Talk, ABC News Radio.
Join Daryl McCanns and Yvette Walker each Tuesday at 4 p.m. on ABC News Radio, KMET, and Internet KMET TV for the Southern California Business Report. The show highlights successful businesses and individuals behind them. Daryl and Yvette interview the incredible people managing these enterprises that range from awe-inspiring sole proprietors to world-renowned organizations. The Southern California Business Report, Tuesdays at 4 p.m. on KMET AM, FM, and Internet KMET TV.
Your health truly is the greatest gift. At U-Theory, quality of life is at the heart of every product we make. From farm to shelf, we travel the world to source the purest, most efficacious, and clinically studied ingredients to create science-backed supplements that support beauty, emotional, digestive, and physical well-being. All U-Theory products are manufactured at our Southern California facility, ensuring the highest quality standards every step of the way. As a family-owned company, we celebrate the power of human potential with a mission to inspire wellness in all. Try U-Theory Immune Plus Daily Wellness. 100% daily values of vitamin C, D3, and zinc. Go beyond the you of today and catch the you of tomorrow. U-Theory.
Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. And I'm super happy about this next guest. It is a story like none other. 4 days with Kenny Tedford, life through the eyes of a child trapped in a partially blind and deaf man's body. Spending time with us is someone who got to know him very well, and I'm sure has a lot to say about the opportunity of meeting him. We've got with us Paul Smith. Good morning. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, Paul. Well, you know what? I have to, first of all, kind of go back for those that don't know what it is you do. You're one of the world's leading experts on storytelling, but you also been on Inc. magazine's top 100 leadership speakers of 2018, a coach on storytelling, and an author of the Amazon #1 bestsellers Lead with a Story. You've met a lot of CEOs, helped train in 25 countries, 3,000 individual business stories. You've been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Fast Company, Inc. magazine, Time, Forbes, Success magazine. Now, I have to say, in all the companies and all the time that you've spent, though, what was it about Kenny Tedford that really made you stop and listen?
Yeah, I'll admit it. It does sound like a little bit off track from my typical modus operandi, right? I'm a business and leadership, coach and trainer and author, but I met this guy, Kenny Tedford, at a storytelling festival of all places, and he and I actually were both speakers at this festival. But it's one of those things where there's multiple stages going at the same time, and so I didn't know, and he didn't know that we were speaking at it. We met in the front row of somebody else's performance. And here I am at this 3-day storytelling festival.
The hotel pick is still up.
And I just thought, well, that's pretty bold, 3-day storytelling festival, deaf guy. And so I just wanted to meet him. And I had lunch with him that day. And his whole life just started to, come out of his mouth about, he's born deaf in both ears and partially blind or legally blind in one eye and partially paralyzed on one side of his body. So he's kind of like Helen Keller in that aspect. But he also was born with a significant learning disability. So he's kind of like Forrest Gump, even though Forrest Gump's fictional. But imagine somebody with both sets of challenges, both the physical challenges of a Helen Keller and the cognitive challenges of a Forrest Gump. And that's Kenny Tedford. And I'd never met anybody like that before. And it just fascinated me. And I had to learn more.
Well, and you put it all in the book, 4 Days with Kenny Tedford. Now, How did those days transform you as a human being, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, they definitely did. I mean, he showed up as the subject of my book, right? I mean, I felt kind of like a psychologist, or more accurately, a researcher going to write a book about him as my subject. So I went into this planning to study him and write about him. And pretty quickly, as his life unfolded in front of me, he went from stranger to friend and from friend to family member. I mean, my wife and kids, kept sneaking into the room to listen to these just crazy stories he was telling. And I couldn't get them to leave, and I couldn't get them to leave. And, by the end of the 4 days, we just wanted to adopt him into our lives because we'd fallen in love with the guy, but also just learned so much from him about life and how to lead a good one and how to treat other people and how to deal with life when it doesn't treat you very well, because it certainly did to him.
Well, and there's something in here about how it could have easily been a very depressingly sullen tale of victimhood. Can you give a glimpse into what you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if you were born with all of the physical and mental challenges that Kenny Tedford was? I mean, it's hard to imagine that, but as I thought about it, I thought, I think I would be just an angry, bitter person. If life had kind of dealt me that hand, and he's not. I mean, in fact, that's one of the things that fascinated me about him is he's one of the most charming men you'll ever meet. And I just had to find out why. And it took me well into that 4 days to kind of uncover, his many kind of life secrets and outlooks. And, that's really kind of the lessons that unfold in the book is how is he not angry at life given all those challenges? And, that is the final chapter of the book, is kind of a synopsis of all of those life lessons.
So give us a glimpse into this book, particularly one of the stories that probably resonated with one of your children.
Yeah. So imagine this kid in the 1950s. He would have been a child in the 1950s in Memphis, Tennessee, in the middle of the kind of race riots and all the stuff that was going on back then. This, little 8-year-old white boy, deaf, partially blind, can't speak, couldn't even speak till he's 10 years of age, getting on a bus in Memphis with his mother and being told for the first time in his life and being told, well, you have to sit in the front because the black people sit in the back, right? That's just the way things are. and him not understanding that. And it's hot in Memphis, and he's like, well, the air conditioner's in the back, so I want to go sit in the back. So he starts trotting off to the back, and his mom has to grab him and put him down, and the bus driver starts yelling at him. And, then an little old lady gets on the bus, an African-American woman, and his daddy always taught him, well, when old people, come into a room or get on the bus or whatever, you're supposed to help them. So he gets up like a little Boy Scout and grabs her arm and tries to help her. And again, the bus driver yells at him, and the other people look offended. Oh, you can't do that. Like, imagine trying to, these adults trying to explain to this kid who can't hear and can't see very well and doesn't understand a lot why it's inappropriate to be nice to African Americans. I mean, some of it's comical, and some of it's just sad, but some of it's joyful because he basically just rebuffs all of their logic or illogic and just said, you people are all nuts. I'm going and sitting back there because, it's too hot up here. And just, and of course the folks on the back of the bus are cheering for him. And, but he looks at life, like it says in the title, through the eyes of a child. And he still does. And so that my kids just love, those kind of heroic stories where his lack of understanding, a lack of ability to understand grown people's logic really shows a more, human side of humanity.
I'm glad you said that. I don't know. There's so many different ways I try to bring it to people, which is why, I always say, look at the eyes of a child who hasn't been told what is right or what is wrong, but just knows instinctively what is right. Because, back to color and seeing color and whatnot, when you look at kids just play with each other, they don't look at that unless they learn that somewhere, right? And then it gets taught, this, that, and the behavior. Don't play with Johnny. Don't play with Susie because of, and the kids get it. You don't even have to say it. And then sometimes some will adopt it and some will say, no, I don't want to adopt it. And it sounds like he didn't adopt the absurdity that us as humans think is logical, but is quite illogical, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's really well put. In fact, things like, bullies would pick on him, obviously, given all of his challenges. Kids are cruel. And, most kids would respond by fighting back or getting angry or depressed or whatever. He, literally would go buy his bullies a bag of candy and sit down with them on the playground and befriend them. And pretty soon, all his bullies disappeared and they became friends. And, no adult told him that. He just felt sorry for them because he figured, that somebody must be really mean to them. For them to be that mean to me, somebody must be being mean to them, and I'm going to be nice to them. And it worked. And so, yeah, that's another type of those kind of stories that my kids just were like, wow, that's really smart, Dad. Why didn't you teach me that? Well, because I didn't know. I needed somebody like Kenny Tedford to teach me too.
Well, I want to say, I think I'm glad the both of you actually met. According to some of the praise already, Miles Barbie, acclaimed Broadway and screen actor, a star of The Silent Natural, said, Kenny is definitely a hero that everyone needs. Please have sequel. This book will change your life as it did mine. Is there one in the works, or how's that working?
Well, not yet. The book's only out a year or so now. But yeah, Kenny's always got other stories up his sleeve. So maybe someday. All
right. So that's a good question. We've got somebody in social media as well. Let's see. Maria already says this from the reviews he's got for this book. I had to buy it indeed. Looks like a very hard book to put down once you start to read it. So you've already got a purchase right there. Obviously, as people start picking up this book, I got to ask, what is it that you think that you've heard from those that have read it, that what's their usual response at the end of it?
So the usual one is, wow, I've never met anybody like Kenny Tedford, and I didn't realize I could learn so much from him. We like to think of ourselves as much smarter than somebody like Kenny. But I think we're smart in different ways. Like, I can do math a lot better than Kenny Tedford, for sure. But, knowing things about how to navigate life with human beings, he's got me beat. And people see that really quickly in these stories of his life. They realize that we have a lot more to learn from Kenny probably than he has to learn from us.
Well, I love it. That's the best way to say it. Thank you so very much for spending time with us here on the morning show. Congratulations on all the work that you're doing over there. I understand you also have a website, leadwithastory.com. Can you give us a little glimpse of that?
Yeah, so that you can find links there to all my books and the training courses I do on storytelling. But you can find Kenny at kennytedford.com, because he is now a professional speaker. I mean, you'd think somebody in his condition wouldn't be able to speak well, but he can, even though he's deaf, and just tells these amazing stories of his life. So you can find him at his website too.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, we're checking that out right now. I got his videos, his books. Fun guy, you could just tell. I'm looking at the pictures right here, right now, and just a zest for life. He enjoys it with I like this: storyteller, motivational speaker, and humorist. Huh, I like that. There you go.
Yeah, he's really funny. He didn't call himself a comedian because he's not like a stand-up guy, but almost all his stories are just really funny because, well, obviously he doesn't see things the way other people do, and he gets caught in all kinds of strange things. He'll misunderstand what people say, and it goes off on a funny tangent, and so he's quite fun to listen to.
Well, I want to say again, thank you very much for sharing his story with us. It's not every day that people will share somebody else's story in such a way. I know you're busy doing things over there as well. I got to pick up some of your books there, Lead with the Story and Sell with the Story. But I hope to have you back. Maybe we could talk about the business form of it. But thank you for getting us this information as well. I'm going to go check it out, leadwiththestory.com. Checking that out as well. So thank you very much for spending your morning with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, there you go. Leadwiththestory.com. This is a guy that knows exactly what he's doing over there, picking up from a person that he got to meet and being able to tell that story, I say, is fantastic, number one. Number two, if you haven't already, pick it up. You could do so. And then find Kenny Tedford at kennytedford.com, the person who he put in this story. But there you go. Real life person doing some real life things. You know what I love about that story, Jesse? It is that it's so human. Like sometimes people think, he's partially deaf and what was it? Partially deaf and partially blind, or partially blind and
deaf and partially blind.
Yeah. See, my sister is fully deaf and like partially blind. And I know just based on the way we get looks, so we get like told, what not to do. She doesn't understand, right? But even if she had a form of understanding, I will say I've met a lot of kids with special needs that just know what the right thing is to do. I've met many with Down syndrome that are just very loving, and they don't buy into all of this rhetoric of you have to be this way or that way, or you have to, you're the which. Back to racism, it exists, but does it have to? I would look to the children and the ones like Kenny Tedford who actually see things from a different and proper lens, but it's the lens we really should want to make our minds into, right? Don't stay so archaic or Neanderthalish, right? Don't be the cannibal in the room, right? That wants to stay as a cannibal. Like, grow beyond that, right? And or teach the cannibal, hey, we don't eat people anymore. That was way back in the day. Stop it. And there you go. All right, seriously, you got to check out that past podcast. Okay, people, we'll take a quick break here. We'll be right back with more right after these messages. Keep the comments coming. We're checking them out.
Don't let insurance companies make decisions for you. Go to Pass Auto Center in Banning, your one-stop repair facility with full collision repair, auto maintenance, service, and an authorized smog center. You'll also find a full-service used car lot to fit every budget with the right vehicle for you. Trade-ins are accepted and they pay cash for your car. Pass Auto Center at 2609 West Ramsey in Banning, just off the I-10 freeway between Sunset and 22nd. Call 951-849-7878.
Hello, listeners. Christopher here from The Christopher Show. Hey, I want to talk to you a little bit about CBD. Now, CBD is not approved by the FDA as of yet. Myself, as well as millions of other people across the USA, have used it with help for pain, anxiety, sleep, and other conditions. Now, all CBD products are not equal. It really matters on where you get the CBD from. Now, I suggest you get it from a qualified pharmacist, and I happen to know of one. It's at Your Pharmacy and Mobility Solutions in Beaumont, California. They only carry pharmaceutical-grade CBD products of the highest quality. So if you want the best, you go to Your Pharmacy and Mobility Solutions. Their staff is there to help you with all your CBD, pharmacy, and mobility needs. They're located at 1680 East 6th Street in Beaumont, California. Give them a call, 951-845-8252. Once again, it's Your Pharmacy Mobility Solutions in Beaumont, 951-845-8252. Once again, it's Your Pharmacy and Mobility Solutions in Beaumont, California, 951-845-8252.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state? Did you miss sending out a prior year tax return? The IRS is out to collect now more than ever, and they'll use any means necessary. They legally can and will garnish your wages, take your money, and even seize your property. If you're behind on your taxes, call the Tax Relief Hotline right now at 951-224-9000. That's 951-224-9000. 951-224-9000. You can legally get your tax debt under control, and in many cases, get the breathing room you need. Garnished wages, property seizures, bank levies can stop immediately, but you have to call. Many of our specialists are IRS enrolled agents. They know the system and how to make it work for you. Don't wait for the IRS to come down on you. Act now so you can get your tax debt under control. Call the Riverside office today for free info at 951-224-9000. That's 951-224-9000. 951-224-9000.
We're in the studio with Fred Penny, managing attorney with Penny and Associates Injury Lawyers. Fred, tell us what makes you the number one choice for handling personal injury cases.
Most of our firm is made up of former insurance company trial lawyers with extensive experience handling all types of personal injury matters. We believe that gives us a distinct advantage.
That's Penny and Associates Injury Lawyers with locations throughout California. For a free consultation, go to pennyandassociates.com or call 1-800-616-4-LAW. That's 1-800-616-4-LAW.
Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live stream audience, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope TV, LinkedIn, and more. Glad to have each and every one of you with us. On today's show, we just had a very interesting guest. Again, talk about his book about a very interesting man he met in his life. And again, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's available right here, right now. 4 Days with Kenny Tedford. Life through the eyes of a child trapped in a partially blind and deaf man's body. So there you go. Very interesting way. I love that story because it's so true. And it sometimes, I don't know about you, but during coronavirus, what I have seen is people get a little bit more angry at the dumbest things. Like sometimes like, no, stay right there. That's 6 feet. And like, okay, can you just like chillax? I'm wearing a mask. You're wearing a mask. Like there's just hold up there. Remember kindness. Okay. You know, or and sometimes people get so absurd just in the way they have lines. Sometimes you're like, that makes no sense the way you're doing it. Can you do it better? And sometimes I feel like some people just are not thinking about human kindness first and foremost. Remember, we're all living on this planet. We, you know, unless you want to go to Mars. But even then, I'm pretty sure they would want kind people to be there, right? But there you go. So there's this happening. Some people are developing a reaction to the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. I don't know if you saw this, Jesse, which some say, well, that's kind of common, but then others say, is it? According to this, Asti drug pharmacist Chris Antipas says, we've had a few cases. Folks have reached out because it's a little unusual. Janice Hendrickson says the reaction looked like someone had ripped an adhesive bandage off. Hendrickson says it was a big rectangle, 2.5 to 3 inches long, maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches wide. It left that imprint where it would be bubbled and red. It did itch. An itchy red rash pops up on the arm that was injected. It can happen up to a week later. Dr. James DeAngelo of Allergy and Clinical Immunology Associate says it's some sort of immune reaction. It's technically not an allergy. It's a hypersensitivity. We just don't know the mechanism yet. It can be oval, hard, and warm. It's more common in men younger than 60. It was raised in hot, according to Janice. Went on to say, other than being unsightly, it's not cause for great concern. It's not happening so frequently that we expect it to happen. Whenever there's an adverse reaction, we like to report it. The good news is it goes away on its own in about a week. So according to Janice, says it was maybe around day 3 or day 4. It lasted for about 4 days before it went away. Generally, it does not happen with the second dose. One says, I did have my second dose and I did not have any red arm or anything in this time. I'm glad I got it. The allergist is taking it cautiously, though. For the few patients he has seen with this, he's having them get their second dose closer to 6 weeks later while he sorts through the available information. Dr. D'Angelo says, I'm putting it in a little bit of a hold because this reaction has only been with Moderna vaccine. Its nickname is now Moderna Arm. It has not happened with the Pfizer vaccine. Different people have different reactions, but according to this, one of the pictures which is circulating, which you'll see probably in news headlines, is a very odd rash happening. And if you start seeing that and you've taken the Moderna, you're not alone, evidently. And I don't know about you, Jesse, but I'm glad I didn't do the first two.
Yeah, no comment. But it's only for a small few, right? People that have taken the Moderna.
Here's the reality. As these stories start coming out, more people go, is that what that was? Because they didn't know it was related. Guaranteed. Okay. So some are calling it the COVID arm, which I don't know that is a good statement. The Moderna one, which would make more sense because it's like I said, though, I said this back in December. I said, make sure you know which one you have so you can attribute anything to it down the line, right? It's very important. Now, thankfully, again, as far as I've seen, no current deaths on this, but you do wonder how different people's bodies react. And again, now I will say this from personal experience. I had a personal friend who got the second shot, healthy 43-year-old. Okay. The moment she got her shot, she had terror. She can't work for 3 days straight. She felt super sick. Now she said, in theory, well, I'm glad I have this rather than coronavirus, right? However, I said, and at the end of it, she was kind of like, well, or in the beginning, middle of it, she was like, well, at least now I can go to New York. And I said, can you just wait on that? Because I need to share with you some information we shared on the morning show. She doesn't watch the morning show, but which I think she should. I should be like, watch the show. So pass that information along. I actually posted to her Instagram and I said, can you just read it? Because it is true. Even if you get a vaccine shot, that does not mean all of a sudden, if COVID were around you, you are going to be resistant beyond that. I think that's partly what people are starting to get wrong information on. Does that make sense, Jesse?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
For example, and putting some perspective on this. Remember, I talked last week about different strains. There's about a total of 8 new strains which are resistant to these existing vaccines, which obviously coming up down the line, the vaccines will start to get smarter because, they're working at trying to tackle some of these major ones. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, defended her agency's decision not to endorse travel for vaccinated Americans, saying that even as the CDC says they could socially gather without masks, increasing travel would add to the number of COVID-19 cases and pose a risk to the majority of the country not yet vaccinated. Walensky said the agency's guidance has not changed, saying that travel has increased COVID-19 cases and that even though people who are vaccinated are less likely to become ill, CDC doesn't have enough data to know if they can still transmit the virus to others. In terms of travel, she said, quote, here's what we know. Every time that there's a surge in travel, we have a surge in cases in this country. We know that many of our variants have emerged from international places. See that? That's how it got here. And we know that the travel corridor is a place where people are mixing a lot. She says, quote, we are really trying to restrain travel at this current period of time. We're hopeful that our next set of guidance will have more science around what vaccinated people can do, perhaps travel being among them. CDC's guidance on travel, last updated in mid-February, says to avoid non-essential travel because it increases the risk of contracting and spreading COVID-19. Masks are required, even if you're in Texas and you listen to dumb governorship, are required on most forms of interstate transportation, as well as big transportation hubs like airports and train stations. I still see the face mask where you have it's falling off. I'm like, why wear a face mask at that point, right? Because they don't have the proper face mask, right? Or worse yet, travel with 2 or 3 because sometimes the band will break on you, right? I've had that happen, so be careful over there. But there you go. So here's the reality. I think people are going to obviously get vaccinated and say, I'm resistant against it. Just like the flu vaccination, okay? doesn't mean you can't get the flu. It just minimizes your odds of getting it. So make sure you use that appropriately, and then make sure you know which one. I've asked people, which one did you get? They go, I don't even know. I go, ask, because there are going to be side effects and things coming up around the corner that you're going to say, oh, I should have paid attention to that. Guaranteed within a year and a half, we're probably going to have some type of class action suit on one of these. I can almost guarantee you. It's the luck of the draw. It is what it is. I'm going on record saying that. You'll see what happens. All right, people, I love you. I appreciate you. Make it a great day. Whatever you do, remember, life is worth living. Live it well. Bye-bye, everyone. And for the rest of you, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the morning show. Let's go to the comments. And again, the reality is, whatever you feel on either way of this, I will say, some I've talked to quite adamantly, and they're like, I'm not getting the vaccine until I know it's safe to do so. Others have to. You're being made and forced to. And then others just say, hey, better to have something than nothing. And I agree as well. I just am saying, and I've said this since December. And people always ask, well, where do you sit on that? And I say very simply, look, I'm okay. I've told my mom to wait. The first two, I did not want her to get the first two, obviously. They were just too fast to the draw there. And the reality is, you're probably going to have to get another vaccination shot at some point down the line, because these variants are becoming even worse than the original one. So if you already have one, doesn't mean you're not going to get another one down the line. But my point is this: I wanted to it's like a new phone, right? A new phone, you do the update. I wait. I'm that person. I wait to get the update because then you have all the bugs in it, right? Kind of like somebody said in social media about the travel to outer space, right? Let's see. I think it was an interesting statement. Let's see. I think it was Maria who said something about that. Yeah, here it is. Maria says, I would go, but after it's been up for a few years. That way all the bugs are out of the system. She's talking about the space station we were talking about. And the aliens would have already noticed it and looked at it before I got there. So let's just make sure that because they would know, right? You would hate to be rescued by an alien because something went wrong on the ship, right? There you go. But so my point is this: I'm not telling you not to get it. I'm just saying, again, do the information, do the research, and then find out the information, and then make sure that you make an informed decision, if at all possible. That's all I'm saying. So the Johnson & Johnson, people have asked me, with my mom and the situation with her. I mean, I made her get a flu shot, but she easily got that when it was safe to do so back in November, because she's at risk. She's at high risk. And then I had people telling me, don't get any vaccination. I go, well, some vaccination is better than no vaccination, especially when it comes to the flu, especially if you are 65 and over. You kind of need that. And you have other diseases like diabetes and other such things. You want to keep that safe. Thankfully, my mom has not contracted COVID all throughout this time, but I will say it's not easy. It's not easy because, there's times that she's wanted to go out. There's times that she does, and I'm like, Mom, we're going to practice social distancing. And then I've taken her out and I say, okay, very hands-on, because she's just not used to it. And thankfully she's there. Right. So God forbid she get it. And then, I don't know what to do, but for the time being, we've been COVID free for quite some time. Now, having said that, with the Johnson & Johnson one coming out, again, I'm going to, definitely make sure that she makes sure to get that. I feel that a lot more science has been done on that one. I feel there's still more work that's going to be done. And again, there's going to be more, more vaccination shots coming up down the line, because you have to remember there are different variants. And if there are different variants, then that means, of course, you got to say, okay, again, people go, well, what's a variant? What's a mutation? A mutation is one back to travel. If somebody comes in from international and maybe they're fine, but they're a carrier of the disease, then guess what? 20 people get it around them that they interact with. But if they throw caution to the wind and like, oh, I don't need to practice social distance. I'm vaccinated. That's the question that even CDC is wondering. Just because you're vaccinated, does that mean that you still are one that can hold the disease, harbor the disease, and then give it to somebody else, right? So that's the cautionary tale that everybody is having right now. However, having said that, again, doesn't mean throw your life away and just be non-existent. Practice social distancing. Do so. There's a fine line on being to either extreme, and I've met people on either extreme. Some deathly, morbidly adverse to it. Others completely like, oh, it's never going to happen. Don't be the person that says it's never going to happen. And at the same time, I would rather you be more cautious, because I've had people and friends that have lost good family members to this personally. So I've experienced that. I've met people that go, well, I don't know anybody. I'm like, you have a small bubble. Get outside of your bubble. And then you'll find, oh, it actually, yeah. And then learn to listen about those deaths that have occurred. And sometimes say, well, what did I learn from that? And some sadly, were the ones that said, no, it doesn't exist. It's okay. I don't need a face mask. Remember those stories? We've seen less of those in the news headlines because they're, tackling other things. But don't forget that that's a good majority as well. Or go to a big party and they go, oh, no, it's going to be fine. Not a big deal. There was a report recently on children getting coronavirus. And I remember last year around this time when people were like, no, children are fine. They're resistant against it. It's only the old people. And I'm like, do you not hear yourself? What kind of mentality are you? It's a human being with biology. Like, it makes no sense. No, German scientists said it. Well, okay, and I remember that conversation in April having a conversation. I was like, are you an imbecile? I mean, that's what I thought in my head. I should have said that, but he turned out to be an imbecile. But my point is this: in the end, there are people that just hold fast to that, and you go, can you use your thinking mind to say, okay, how is it? I mean, I get it. Those prone or those but then the kids have died at the age of 18, 5, 8, 12. And I know some go, yeah, but that's not a majority. What if you're the minority? Do you want to be the minority of the majority in your own house? Seriously? I know one family, like 5 of the people got, no, actually 5, 6, 7, about 8 of the people got sick with it, with one death. And the other still, I think, still in the hospital, by the way, still in the hospital. So, and thankfully grandma was resistant against it. Thank God. But both aunts, nope. So one's in the hospital and the other ended up dying. So who in your family are you willing to put caution to the wind at? Just saying. Think of it like that. All right, people. I appreciate each and every one of you spending time with us. Let's see. Let's go to some of the comments here before I let's see. Maria says this, no one here has reacted so far in my part of Canada. I'm safe and well and have both my shots. Don't freak out too much. But Johnson & Johnson is the best if you ask me and my coworkers. Yeah. She says it's not a cure. People act like it is. It makes me so upset. You can still get it and still spread it. People see all the tests for the top 3 vaccines are from data in 2020. And, thank you for saying that. It's not a cure. It helps your body fight off it in the event that it actually gets it, but it's not a cure. Just like, and I don't like to equate it to the flu, but to make people make sense of it. Because I remember when people said, no, it's just like the flu. Don't worry about it. I remember that. I remember us having to do a big event, which we do every single year. And I remember, being cautious about it. And the organizers were like, no, don't worry about it. It's just, and I said, well, that's not the story headlines that we're seeing, but okay. And then literally 2 days later, San Bernardino said, shut it down. So don't be that person that's constantly saying or thinking with your own mind, I know what's right. They don't, learn to follow instruction, unless it's the governorship of Texas. Don't be that dumb. I feel bad for Texans all over that believe that type of rhetoric of no more mask mandate. Other people are calling it out, saying that's the stupidest thing you could possibly talk about. Let's see. Stephanie Reed says this, I just don't know about me if I'm going to get it because I'm allergic to everything under the sun. As my grandmother was hospitalized for the flu vaccine, I'm going to wait to see about the Johnson & Johnson and the side effects. Again, good job staying safe over there. Again, a lot of the stuff you can do so virtually. And, check her out, by the way, if you're in her area, Cleveland, Ohio. She does some pretty cool stuff. All right. And Shadow says this, we are the guinea pigs of the future. And it's interesting what you're saying about that. Says this, life is so experimental. I will say this. Going forward, right? Let's go forward 5 years from now. People always say, what do you see the future being in your own life 4 or 5 years from now, right? And I always go, I can't even, project that far. There's certain things I hope to have, right? At least like, a nice place to live in, right? And or maybe some financial means, right? Taking care of maybe the career, that I would hope to get paid for, or things like that. But at the same time, I do question where we are when it comes to the future, looking back, right? And you just go through a year of scope of lens, right? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, last year, where were we? What were some believing? And if you're that person that believed the rhetoric of, don't worry about it, we're going to go back, Easter's, don't worry, we're going to be, do you remember that? And here we are, how many deaths later? And remember, I mean, there was like all kinds of rhetoric on that. Thank God that person isn't the president of the United States of America currently. But I still know a lot of people that buy into that type of behavior because I've seen it on social media. People are still saying it. And I'm like, what part of a year, like how many months does it take to go by where you go, that was the worst pandemic ever? I look forward to the future where we go, thank God we're past that, right? That's the future that I look forward to, but we're not there yet. When we are there, we're going to be able to say, thank God we're past that. And then we're going to think of all the people that we lost along the way. We're going to think of the people that we used to call a dear friend, a dear family member. We're going to think of all those things. And we're going to say, what? Should have listened. Should have been careful. Should have. Don't be the should have. Don't do that. Be ahead of that and say, you know what? I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to learn to think with my own head. I'm going to be kind to those around me because A, I don't know if it's my last day on earth, or B, I don't know if it's their last day on earth. I've said this before. You never know when it's your last day. You never do, right? So some people say, how do you want to be remembered? I say, how do you want to be remembered? But more importantly, what do you want to do while you're here on the earth? What do you want to do to help spread happiness, right? Like back to that billionaire. He's just wanting to spread happiness. I could tell, like, right. He's got a lot of money. He's like, we got to just do without money, right? He sees the problems that money brings. And I, you know what? I feel bad for the guy because I kind of made fun of him a moment ago because he had 27,000 applicants all wanting and vying for his attention, right? And he's just trying to find love. When you have that type of money, right? Being a billionaire, are you being loved because of you or are you being loved because of the money? I remember I met a very financially well-set person, beautiful Bugatti, beautiful McLaren in his garage. Those are like, and the Bugatti I think costs like 2 or 3 million. I think, yeah, it was 2.3 million actually. Beautiful Bugatti. Ran in that Bugatti. It was beautiful. Beautiful house. It was like the house that like Bruce Wayne house, right? Like next to the caves in Arizona. Beautiful, beautiful location. Beautiful location. And in spending time with him for like several days, because we did this video shoot and I was hosting it. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But, peering into his eyes through his lens of perspective, I was thinking, I felt bad for him because I remember we had a little conversation. It was a very brief conversation, super brief, but I felt bad for him because he knew, and he said it, because one of his family members, which he was dating the girl at the time. I don't know if they're still together, but she was very like dismissive, right? Like, how come I don't get to go in the car? Like, ugh, like that. And he was just a kind guy. He was the kind of guy that says, you know what? I would trade all my money back in just for a regular sleep, like to have a good night's rest of sleep. And he and I had a very private conversation. And in this conversation, he admitted this. He says, it's sad, but money changes people. I've seen it change people around me. And it was a quiet, somber moment. And I was like, huh. And granted, we're in the Bugatti, right? So, so people are like, well, what have you got to complain about? But when you have and you wonder who the friends are around you, and how sometimes money can change people, sometimes they can't, right? You always go, well, I hope it won't change me. And that's always the consistent route that you want to hopefully go with. But at the end of the day, I admire people that actually make it work for them and put out good. But you gotta wonder at the same time, back to this other, billionaire, you go, well, it shouldn't be that hard to find love, but I get it. I always wondered about that. I always wondered if you're with the person that you want to be with, are you there because, or if it's the flip side, are you there because of who they are or what they bring to the table? Sometimes people and ladies, come on, you know it. There are ones that go, well, that one's going to be financially wealthy, so I'm going to go over there. It happens, right? Don't tell me it doesn't. So my point is this. There are good billionaires and millionaires, yes. And then there's the ones that just don't care, right? They just don't care, right? They just whatever. But at the end of the day, does money fix things? Well, we run on an economy where money can do a lot of good for people. So the answer is technically yes. But I love that this billionaire was like looking at a time that maybe we could do without money. Now, do I think that's going to happen anytime soon? I doubt it. I think a form of currency is going to be pretty consistent all the way throughout. However, is the world ready for some type of change? I don't know. I don't know if the world is ready for that type of big drastic change. But I do know this. I know that at the end of the day, there are people that are quite miserable that have lots of money just because they wonder who they can trust. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So back to what we were talking about. The reality is, whatever day is left of your day, sometimes it's the nice conversation that you'll have with somebody you never knew. Ask them how they're doing, right? Make a new friend. Make a new connection. And if you haven't made a new connection, call up the connections that you have already. If you have people on your Facebook, look at your Facebook and see the last 5 comments that have come on there. And sometimes, and I know this because I'm guilty of this quite often because, I have a lot of people on social media. But there's some that I know quite personally. And sometimes I go and send a message, hey, how you doing? And it's such a quick message. Oh, doing good, this and that. And then it goes flat, right? Because they're busy, I'm busy, whatever, busy. So maybe say, hey, just want to check in on you. Give a little call. Maybe to 3 people, maybe just 2, maybe just 1. Try that out and see how it changes your day. Okay. Reach out to somebody. I'm sure somebody needs it. All right, people. I love you. I appreciate you. Make it a great day, whatever you do. Remember, life is worth living, and be safe out there. All right, everyone. Bye-bye.